We'll get through it. Hey, so we're going to start some little bit of lit today. So I'm going to get you guys started on some notes. Do you guys remember what those are? Oh,
No.
Oh, wait, you had read yesterday. So I know you remember what those are because he probably hit you hard on those. So good. So
No,
I'm
we didn't.
What? I'm going to have to yell at him then. All right. So I already have a notes up for you to use to add on to for today, but we kind of need to get through some of those notes before we get through to the poems. So to help you understand a little bit more about them and what I need you to learn from those. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you where those are, hopefully. Hopefully, maybe. Okay, here we go. All right, so if you guys go to the literature site and open up that assignment that says figurative language.
All right, I found my notebook, guys.
Okay, so you're going to drop down, it'll be the last one I posted. It says copy of literature notes. Now you guys can, I don't care if you write them down in your notebook and go that direction or type them out. It's whatever your best learning tool is. And it depends on your mood too, because sometimes I like to write and sometimes I just rather type. So, you know, whatever your mood here is, I'll let you go with that, okay? So, all right, so everybody find the notes that I posted? So once you did, you're going to, so on the summarization, if you're writing these, like I said, I don't care, it's up to you. And if you're just typing the rest of the notes out, that's great too. So you go with what you want to do. Okay, so summarization, and actually what I want you guys to do is kind of summarize, you know, or paraphrase, or, you know, write down kind of what your thoughts. What is summarization? So I need you guys to talk a little bit because you know that I'm kind of a person that likes to interact, so I feel kind of odd in this house just speaking to myself. So help me out if you guys can, if you have any idea, like what does it do when you summarize anyway?
You just make a simple couple sentences that sum up what the paragraph said.
Yeah, like the main ideas, like the main issues, the important stuff. Okay, so yeah, summarization's a little bit different than paraphrasing, of course. Summary's shorter, okay? So summarization, you're going to just get down those most important facts about a subject. So you're going to express the most important facts about a subject. That could be an idea, it could be about a person, it could be about a place, whatever. So that's why we're just going to say a subject or a topic, okay? All right, everybody good? Okay, so summary, got that, summarization. Main idea is a lot like it, of course, but a lot of times you're going to find the main idea to summarize, right? So help me out with what the main idea of something is. Again, you're going to have some of the same words in there. So if I were going for a main idea, I want to go for the most important stuff, okay? So most important thought about a topic. And of course, summarization is actually putting those thoughts into a short form. Okay, everybody good? So theme, of course, is actually a little bit like main idea, right? So I gave you a little bit of idea down there. We're in blue. That's not the actual definition of theme. I mean, it's there, but it's just a lot there that, you know, more than I want you to have. But it says that themes are the framework of stories. Okay, framework of stories. Well, whenever an author or you or someone writes a story of some kind, they're going to have something in mind that they might want to teach, or they might want somebody to learn from this. They might want something that they want to convince you of. Anyway, there's some underlying meaning of why they wrote this story or the poem or whatever it might be. Okay, so that's what that is. So, and the reader just puts that all together to give some kind of meaning to their work. Okay, certain themes that come away from different writings: friendship, innocence, sacrifice. There's lots and lots and lots of themes. Okay, it could be bullying, it could be isolation. All right, kind of like if you wrote a story about your life in the last 5 months, I mean, well, what, 4 months, it could be a lot have to do with isolation. So theme is really the main idea or message, okay? Of a story, okay? Sometimes it could be like a right there theme, like we understand the theme like right off the bat, or it could be very indirect where you're going to have to kind of read the whole lesson or the story or article or whatever it might be to kind of get that information. So all right, moving on. Maybe. Okay, tone. All right, guys, there's some examples. Again, I didn't put the definition. I'm going to put that for you guys. So the tone of a story, usually authors, yeah, they have their message they want to present, but usually they have some kind of an underlying attitude towards what they're, you know, towards the subject matter. Okay, so this attitude comes out within their writing. And if you're reading an article, a political article, there's going to be all kinds of different swaying attitudes, debatable attitudes towards a subject. If you're reading an article on on COVID-19 and how people feel or, you know, want to react about it, there's going to be a lot of different attitudes towards what's happening. You know, if you're coming from a doctor's point of view, from a person in Chanute, from a person in New York, I mean, there's going to be all kinds of different varying attitudes that comes about. So this is an example that I gave here. So I want you to share with me, like, what attitude is coming out of this first one. It says father. So here it says, here's the father. He's saying, we're going on a vacation. And the son says, that's great. So attitude, who can help me out? What's the attitude here?
Excitement.
Excitement, right? Joy. Yeah, awesome. We're going on a vacation. We're going. Okay. Second one, it says, we can't go on a vacation this summer. The son says, yeah, great. That's what I expected.
Sarcasm.
Sarcasm. That one's third one says, yeah, your grades are on this exam will be good as as the, or, yeah, your grades on this exam will be as good as your previous exams. What do you think there? Yeah, your grades on this exam will be as good as the previous exams. Can you get anything from that?
Confirmation.
Confirmation? Could be. Could be a little bit of sarcasm too, just depends on what, you know, what else is going on in that. If this kid did terrible on his other exams,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's a little bit of sarcasm there. Like, ah. And it, maybe he did great, you know, so that's where that confirmation comes in. Last one, can someone tell me what in the tarnation is going on here?
Surprise.
Yeah, your dad just walked into maybe you guys having a party in the room, whatever kind of party, and there's a lot more people than there should be in the house, maybe. All right. That's attitude, okay, guys? So tone is really the attitude. All right, so if you don't have that yet, make sure you get that down. Okay. Could be an audience too. Other's attitude towards a subject or audience. So you guys do speeches and you've seen plays and things like that. So it could be audience as well, included in there. Okay. All right, cause and effect. All right, there's this whole reading thing here on okay. So I want you guys just to read there and just, I want you to put what are a couple of causes that are made known here, okay? I think that we are all mentally ill. Those of us outside the asylums only hide it a little better, and maybe not all that much better after all. We've all known people who talk to themselves, that's me, people who sometimes squinch their faces into horrible grimaces when they believe no one is watching, people who have some hysterical fear of snakes, the dark, the tight place, the long drop, and of course, those final worms and grubs that are waiting so patiently underground. When we pay our $4 or $5 and seat ourselves at 10th row center in a theater showing a horror movie, we are daring the nightmare. Why? Some of the reasons are simple and obvious: to show that we can, that we are not afraid, that we can ride this roller coaster. Which is not to say that a really good horror movie may not surprise a scream out of us, or some point the way we may scream when the roller coaster twists through the complete 360 or plows through a lake at the bottom of the drop. And horror movies, like roller coasters, have always been the special province of the young. By the time one turns 40 or 50, one's appetite for double twists or 360-degree hoops may be considerably depleted. Okay. Any causes that are known in that little story there? You may want to help me out here. Why do we like horror movies? I know.
Because it's fun. It gets the adrenaline rushing, I guess. Like some people are thrill seekers.
Okay, the thrill. All right, so it's relating to a roller coaster here. Okay, we seek that thrill. We seek that adrenaline rush. Okay, and a horror movie to some point, you know, it excretes that out of us. Okay, so and that's why we like to sit front and center, even though we're scared of our minds during this whole thing. And why in the world we want to do that? Who knows? But You know, it's just that fear of the unknown. Some of us really seek that fear. Some of us are going to stay 100 feet away from a theater if there's a horror movie on. I mean, that's just the way we are. So we were individually set up. So, but a lot of us like those horror movies just because we enjoy that rush, that thrill. Okay. So cause and effect, of course, you're going to deal with the, you know, it's just a relationship of actions and events that are going to seek some kind of result. Okay. So you want to relationship between actions, such as us going to a horror movie, and you're going to see all kinds of words within cause and effect, different writings, such as because, as a result, as a effect, since, due to. So those kind of words are good signals of a cause and effect, that there's going to be some kind of relationship that's going to be noted between the actions. Most of you should know these things very well. So those are certain words that signal cause and effect relationships there. So, okay, going on. Elevated diction. Elevated diction, if you haven't heard of that, it's really just basically the style of writing, okay? So if you guys text something, your style of writing is going to be very informal, okay? You know, you're going to, you know, oh, that's awesome, let's go. You know, that's, you know, it's an informal type of writing that we're not going to be too concerned about our diction, you know. When you elevate that diction, that writing, that means you're just going to use words that are more formal, higher level, okay? So when it says, I am much obliged to you, sir, okay, versus thanks a bunch, buddy, okay? First one, of course, is formal, you know. The second one, of course, is very informal. Now, so on the elevated diction, this first example would be an elevated diction. It's more formal type of writing, okay, that we use in literature. So if you've read a lot of Shakespeare types of writing, that Old English and things like that, there's going to be a lot of elevated diction that's used within that writing. Versus a Nicholas Sparks novel, okay, that's, you know, more for your entertainment and value. The literature component, you know, it's not very high, but it's very entertaining, especially for, of course, females. So it's not as elevated as what you would read from a Shakespeare piece, okay?
Shakespeare's entertaining.
Do what?
I think Shakespeare's entertaining.
He is entertaining.
No, it's not.
But his diction is very elevated in the fact that it's going to be entertaining, plus it's going to be very formal and higher level writing than you're used to in everyday reading articles. So, and I know you guys read every day, so yep. Okay, so I guess to put this into easiest words, choosing more elevate. You know, if you're going to write a more formal piece, you know, if you can't think of a word for, you know, like if you were, thanks a bunch, buddy. Well, what they did, they just turned it into, used a synonym, thanks, I'm obliged. Okay, that's a higher level word. So, and I just reworded it. Okay.
Tracy, would you mind going back and covering what you put in parentheses for cause and effect? We had a student ask a question about that.
Oh, okay. I don't have my chat on. Okay. Cause and effect. Oh, the parentheses, those are things that, those are words that those are signal words. You know, you have different types of writing, guys, like cause and effect. You have compare and contrast, descriptive writing. So in a cause and effect type of writing, these signal words are often used. So if you were going to write something that you wanted to have a significant effect, or to find those results of, these signal words are going to be used within. And there's several more. These are just a few of the most common that you would see in a cause effect writing. Okay, some of those tests that those assessments, especially in reading, they'll say, is this a best example of a cause and effect? Compare and contrast, descriptive, problem and solution, and problem and solution and cause and effect kind of go hand in hand, but there's going to be a significant solution that is going to be made, of course, in a problem solution. But, they might ask that. So is this the best example of a cause and effect, descriptive, problem solution, compare and contrast? Well, if you see some of these signal words, that's going to denote, oh, cause and effect right there. They use therefore, or they used since, or because. Okay. If I was writing a compare and contrast, you might see a lot of words like similar, alike, however. So, okay. All right, going on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, poignant, it's a word that you're going to see used in this first poem we're going to do. A lot of you don't know what that word is, so I just wanted to go over that because there's going to be a question that you're going to have to answer on that. So poignant is, does anybody know what that means, by the way? Poignant. Did I give an example? Oh, I did. Said it was a poignant portrayal of, should be the effects, oops, okay. It was a poignant portrayal of the effects of a war that touched every aspect of society. Any idea what that means?
Example?
Well, the example of a war is really what? Because does anybody like war?
No.
Horrible.
Horrible,
Awful.
right?
Bad.
Right. Hopefully, I mean, that's what most of you feel about war, okay? Nobody wants to get into that type of event, all right? So poignant has to do a lot with regret, possibly, we could have prevented this if this would have happened, okay? So poignant has a lot to do with, because in war we have a lot of death, okay? So we're gonna deal with sadness as well. So poignant has to do with the keen sense of sadness or regret, basically. Okay, that's why I used war there, because that's, when you think of war, that's really what it is. There's a lot of sadness and regret because, surely we could have done something different. There you go. Keen sense of sadness or regret. Just poignant. Okay, so Figurative language, hopefully you guys at level 3 can give me a definition for that. What do you think?
Like,
What is figurative language? Why in the world do we use similes and metaphors and idioms and
To make our writing more better, I don't know.
To make it
Better.
more interesting, to get a point across.
yes,
Yeah.
interesting, get your point across, give emphasis, colorful. Okay, good. All those are correct answers. Okay, all those are correct answers. That adds interest. Emphasis.
Can you move the screen up a little bit? I can't see what you're doing.
I think I could do that. There are all kinds of definitions for figurative language, you know, and it really, you might want to, it adds to the, because a lot of figurative language is not literal, right? You know, like it's not literally going to rain cats and dogs. So a lot of figurative language is really non-literal, okay? So some of the, okay, metaphors. I know all of you have used metaphors, especially all throughout your schooling, okay? Anybody have a good definition for a metaphor you want to share? You know it's a figurative speech, right? And what's it mostly do?
Compare one thing to another.
All right, it's really what it does, doesn't it? Compares one thing to another without actually mentioning that one thing, depending on if it's implied or explicit, so. Compares one thing to, it's trying to make it it provides clarity or implied is like hidden similarities. Okay, so metaphors. Now, do metaphors, do they often use words like, or as?
No.
No, what does?
Simile.
Yeah. And that's really the only difference between a simile and a metaphor. Metaphor actually is a simile. It's kind of the trunk, okay? Because many types of figurative speech are metaphors, you know, and they might be also personified. They also might be hyperboles. They might be oxymoron, but a lot of different writings will make these comparisons without actually without actually seeing the comparison maybe until you read the whole thing, okay? And that's of course a, you know, more of applied or extended metaphor. But many figurative speech or language devices are metaphors, but they don't ordinarily use like or as. We call those similes, of course. And this is a good example. The teacher was a wildfire of rage. Okay, now extended metaphors, a lot of times there'll be a title of a story or a poem, and that title is extremely significant because it'll actually, throughout the whole poem or story, it'll actually make all these comparisons and based on this subject matter, okay? And that's called an extended. And it says one of the most vivid examples of the monologue of Romeo and Juliet's balcony scene. During the whole speech, Romeo compares Juliet to the sun and the love to the summer. Okay, so Romeo and Juliet, of course, is, you know, full of extended metaphors. Okay, but extended metaphors, basically, they're not short. Okay, that's why they're called extended. That extend throughout the pages. Story. Okay. That's an extended. You're going to be reading an extended metaphoric poem. The very first one we do is going to be an extended metaphor. So implicit, sometimes called implied. You know, when you read something that's implied, it's not actually really stated, you know. So when we're talking about an implicit or implied metaphor, they're slightly different from regular metaphors. So if I said the teacher was a wildfire, well, the comparison is right there. It's done. You see it, okay? It's very explicit, okay? But implied, you don't often, you know, those comparisons are not easily seen. You have to kind of read throughout to find out really what's happening there, okay? They don't actually state what they're comparing. So an example in parentheses, it says Ella finally lured Devin into her web. Okay, don't have a real keen sense of what's being compared other than, you know, Ella, you know, is attracted to Devin and has done some things that has actually caught his attention. Okay, so that's what we call an implied metaphor or implicit. Another good one, it has no stated verbs. So the teacher was is a be verb, were, is, are, those are be verbs. So these have no stated be verbs, okay? Ella finally lured Devin into her web. No be verb there, it's very direct. Okay, explicit, of course, is going to have stated be verbs. The teacher was a wild one. That's an explicit metaphor. Okay, so is, are, what's others? Be, been, be, I missed one. Am. There you go. Those are be verbs. So that's the main difference. I mean, that's an easy difference between the two. Explicit. I mean, implicit, implied, no be verbs. So it's not actually, you can't see the comparison very well. And these are your regular metaphors that you guys are used to. A symphony of crickets echoed through the forest. What's this one? Is that a explicit or implicit?
Implicit.
Implicit, okay. I think I did that as a trick, but I put it in the wrong place. So a symphony of crickets echoed through the forest. There are no be verbs, okay. So that would be known as an implicit, okay. So you might want to, if you're using this on your notes, you might want to move that into your implicit as a example, okay. All right, guys. On this symbolism is something like a flag. Does a flag? What is a flag? Like our United States flag. What's a flag?
A symbol.
It is a symbol. What's it a symbol of?
Our nation.
Our nation. What else?
Freedom.
Yep. What else?
States.
Okay, states. Yep. Lots of different symbols, okay, that the flag represents. All right, and you know, there might be more for different people, of course, okay, but symbolism is just, it represents ideas. So symbols represent ideas, qualities, because a flag is just, you know, it's a piece of cloth, right? But it's not, you know, it symbolizes something much bigger than a piece of cloth, of course. So that's symbolism. These are different examples of symbolism, poignant examples from Harry Potter. Harry's scar is symbolic of bravery. Albus Dumbledore's name is a symbol of his personality. Did you guys know this? Dumbledore means bumblebee. Did you know that from Old English? And he liked to hum. I do remember him liked to hum, if you guys are Harry Potter fans. And Albus means white, which may symbolize a white wizard or good wizard. So, and if you want to look at Shakespeare's plays As You Like It, he takes the big picture, the world, and symbolizes it to a smaller scale, the stage. Meanwhile, the players are a symbol of the people of the world. So, lots of symbols. Okay. You guys, you have any questions on that? Notes? I kind of want to get to the story that I want you to do. There's lots of, and I want you to just to look at the ones we did. Let me go back here. Okay. So this story here, I mean, it's a story, I guess, but it's called The Empty Stomach. Okay. And the empty stomach title, we have this mom, okay? And it starts out with she's sitting around all day, okay, holding a book. Sometimes the pages never turn, for her eyes find it impossible to read. Why? Why do you think that she feels like, what's going on there? Can you tell anything yet? Why does she feel like it's impossible to read? Have you guys ever done that where you're just staring at a book in class, but you're not paying a lick of attention? I do that a lot. So you're like, your thoughts are somewhere else, totally not on class or the teacher or the book. So she's going through this. Sometimes the pages never turn, for her eyes find it impossible to read. Here's the cause. Since Dad left 2 weeks ago. All right, so do we have an idea of why she's just staring at a book now? Okay, the dad left 2 weeks ago. They have been replaced, they, talking about her her eyes. They have been replaced by cold gray stones. No sparkle, no life. I told my little brother she's sick. But how can you diagnose someone for sadness? Okay, so at the first of the story, she's just holding a book, staring at it. And then we find out why. All right. We see that the dad left. Okay. And it tells us that her eyes, here's a metaphor, have been replaced by cold gray stones. No sparkle, no life. She's just, all right. She's just there physically, but definitely not emotionally or mentally. So she's making excuses. I guess it's the sister making excuses to her little brother that she's sick. Despite everything, her anguish hangs in the stale air, misery in every dirty dish, silent cries for help in the velvet elevator music. You guys been in an elevator and heard that music? It's not very exciting. It's like, oh gosh, why can't they play a little bit more exciting than this? It's just making me depressed and sad. Okay. That's why they kind of use that elevator music to accentuate her depression here. Okay. Got lots of poignant words here. Misery, sadness. She uses a futile attempt, so it just doesn't do any good, to erase the melancholy in all our lives. So they're very sad, and she's making everybody else sad by her mood. Okay, she's in melancholy mood. She's very sad, which so obviously coded our thoughts and words, so that we are deprived of hope. So because of her kids are like, what do we do? I guess we're just going to be sad too. Like, there's no hope for us. The hope that left as Dad shut the door on us one night. On my way to the kitchen to fetch my midnight snack, I caught a glimpse of Mom, doubled over the toilet, gagging up in her pain, agony and despair colored in the lines on her face. She looked my way. I saw right through me. I realized that in her eyes, I was transparent. Like she just saw right. Transparent means you can see right through it, right? So she wasn't even looking at her. Just a body trying desperately to fill a void in her life that continues to be scooped out with every breath inhaled into the empty stomach. For now, at night, I just go hungry. All right, so there's 3 parts of this poem, beginning, middle, and end, all right? And your job is to kind of summarize those 3 parts. All right, so the empty stomach is a metaphor, guys. It's a metaphor for, it's not only talking about the kid's empty stomach for longing for her attention, of course, but it could be also talking about the mom is empty inside, because she doesn't have any hope, until something or someone gets her out of this melancholy mood. It's gonna be a hard time for her and the kids. Okay. So you guys have to use some of the things that you took notes over today on this particular poem. All right. See how well you do with that. So any questions on that, guys? Any questions on that poem? I want you guys to do the empty stomach. All right. I don't want you to do all these because we need to finish going over the notes. And this is hard for me because it's like hard to figure out how much we're going to get done and how much. So I put a lot on here, but it doesn't mean that I want you to do it all. So I do want you to try to do the empty stomach assignment. Okay. Because we went over the notes. And then I want you to look over the sympathy and see if you can answer those questions. The poem is attached, okay? And then there's questions that go along. And it correlates with what's going on today with our racism and things like that of how we're, dealing with this. And it kind of goes back to like how this all came about. And this poet he was a slave himself. So you'll kind of see those words in sympathy and how those words are, coming out today. So I would like you to do those 2, okay? Empty stomach assignment, and then read sympathy, and then go ahead and try to do the assignment on that. Good? Questions?
When is it due?
Thursday, I think I put the 2nd. Is that Thursday?
Yes.
Okay, so Thursday. All right, is that cool? Any questions? I'll put a note, a reminder for you guys, because like I said, there's lots of here, but I don't, I want to talk a little bit more about, we'll probably do the cage spur together. Okay.